Hi everyone, my name is Michelle Nguyen and I will be discussing participatory culture and how it fosters student learning. So what is participatory culture? USC professors Henry Jenkins coined the term participatory culture, which is defined as a space in which everyone is encouraged to create and circulate media. Forms of this largely enable artistic expression and civic engagement. Because these spaces bring together people of varying levels of expertise, social connections can be made when experienced members pass on their knowledge to novices. There is a shared belief that one's contributions matter. Jenkins compares this culture to folk culture, where media is produced not for monetary benefit, but simply for the joy of doing so. Participatory culture has positive effects on the world too, especially in one's civic life. He also mentions that adult involvement on these platforms should be sparse, as the internet is increasingly becoming a place for the youth to exchange ideas and creative products, an adult's role is simply to validate and support them. In relation to education, participatory culture should be adopted in the formal school system because it helps the youth build their cooperation skills. Schools today view collaborative efforts between students as plagiarism and cheating, when real-world situations often call for working in a team. The internet has made learning accessible to nearly everyone, and Jenkins called for higher academic institutions to endorse universal accessibility to education. So what are some forms of participatory culture? The first is affiliations, like memberships to certain groups online. Expressions is about the creation of media, such as fanfiction or modding. Collaborative problem solving involves developing new knowledge with others. And finally, blogs and podcasts belong to circulation, as they help circulate information and media. Participatory culture in any form encourages the youth to experiment and create unique and innovative products. While informal learning can be localized and shifts based on current interests and issues, formal education can often be too broad and bureaucratic, so issues do not get solved quickly. Jenkins also goes further in depth to explain 3 problems with participatory culture. First, the participation gap accentuates the unequal access to knowledge which plagues students who may not have internet access. Not only this, but the transparency problem is about the challenges the youth face when learning how media can shape our perceptions of the world. Finally, the ethics challenge is about the question of how traditional socialization can prepare young people to become media makers and dutiful citizens. In another reading, Mimi Ito also discusses participatory culture and how there are different types of participation in these spaces. Friendship-driven participation is most common among the youth, and it is simply hanging out and socializing with their friends online. When someone has knowledge on a certain topic and wants to produce content about it, this can be described as geeking out, when the youth uses new tools to develop specialized skills and establish media literacy. Similar to what Jenkins mentions about adult presence online, Ito iterates that the educator's role online should be passive, yet proactive. When present, they should foster an environment to think critically about concerns like online privacy and identity. There has been debate about whether or not digital media is entirely as valuable as it has been proclaimed to be. Adults see children watching YouTube videos when they can be learning. However, the youth find online activity to be useful in learning about new perspectives and engaging with others. Though Ito does not discuss any solutions, she poses a question about how we can begin to incorporate informal learning and participatory cultures into the traditional classroom setting. After reading the articles and watching the videos for this week, I understood more about this culture and was finally able to put a name to the concept. I've always been of the belief that the internet is a great space for engaging with others of differing opinions and learning new things. For me, it reinforced the idea that the internet fosters a culture of self-driven and self-motivated learning. It is interesting for me to see the readings mention the role of adults and educators, and how the internet has become a space almost solely for younger crowds to interact amongst each other. YouTube and Reddit have become popular spaces for learning, and both encourage active participation. The process of implementing participatory culture into schools will take time, but with the progress that we have made within the last few decades, it will be possible to feel like the knowledge that students are learning is useful and applicable for many years to come. Thank you for listening.